everybody. So for today's video, I am going to talk about my top 5 favorite audiobooks that I've listened to this year, so in 2019. So these aren't books that necessarily came out in 2019. This is just my favorite of what of what I listened to in 2019. So I really enjoy reading, whether that be in physical book or audio format. And this year I read or listened to, however you want to interpret that, 64 books, which I feel like is solid. Like, it is what it is, you know. And I've had some really good ones, some not so good ones either, but we want to start off or end this decade with some positive things. So I just thought I would talk to you guys in hopes that maybe you might find some new things that you're interested in. So let's get into it. My top 5. I'm going to start with 5, then go all the way to my number 1 favorite of just audiobooks, and then I'll have another video talking about the physical books I read. One note that I want to make is that for audiobooks, one of my really strong preference is I really like it for the author or someone, well, basically the author, to narrate his or her own book. And I really like nonfiction. I have a hard time, for whatever reason, listening to fiction, and I have a hard time physically reading nonfiction. So most of these are going to be nonfiction books read by the author. I just find my preference for being read by the author is it just seems a little bit more natural. I'm a huge fan of podcasts. Like, I love podcasts, and I feel like when it is read by the author, it has a similar, like, almost conversational, easy listening vibe. So, alright, so my number 5 book that I listened to is Troublemaker by Leah Remini. So, what this book is basically about is it is about her experience growing up in the Church of Scientology as a Scientology family, then how she lived her life into her adulthood in that church, and then what the kind of breakdown between her relationship with her faith, and then also the aftermath of when she decided to split with the Church of Scientology. So she is an actress. I believe it's King of Queens that she was on. Can't remember exactly. I've never seen the show, so I wasn't really familiar. And honestly, the only thing I've really known before I read this or listened to this book about Scientology was Tom Cruise is somehow connected to it, and it seems to be a punchline of some jokes. So I wasn't really familiar with it. So what I really liked from her perspective is, or from this book, is you got basically, it was a very complete whole tale. Like, she had some really good memories of what got her into it, which was her family through her mother getting into it. And then you got to the end when she broke off with it. And one thing that I really liked is that you could tell while she was reading it that although there's obvious problems, she really still was very sensitive, and still I felt like very gracious to a lot of the people in there because she was in their shoes and in their thing. So I didn't feel like it was like really bashing or negative. It was really just her telling her experience, and I felt like it was really informative and educational, but in a really interesting way because it was told through her story. It was easy listening to. It was a pretty long audio book, and so I think this would be a good read for those who are kind of like me and maybe aren't very well educated in Scientology and just kind of want a personal experience from it, or if you are familiar with her works. Yeah, so that was my number 5. It was really enjoyable, and I felt like I learned a lot from it. Alright, now my 4th favorite, I'm just going to tell you. It's the closest thing I'm going to have to like a guilty pleasure, but I don't feel that guilty about it. It is Next Level of Basic by Stassi Schroeder. So if you don't, I'm sorry if it's hard to see this. Hopefully you can see it. Next Level Basic by Stassi Schroeder. So if you do not know who Stassi Schroeder is, she is one of the stars in Vanderpump Rules, which is my favorite, yeah, probably my favorite reality TV show. I love reality TV, definitely love reality TV. And I just discovered this show. It's a Bravo show. I just discovered it this summer, and it is so good. And she also has a podcast, and she has been doing this podcast since I want to say either 2015 or 2016. She's been pretty consistent, and it is a great podcast. And I have my Office Ladies sweatshirt on or jacket that I got from that I got for Christmas, and I am a huge podcast fan, and I think she does a really good job. So if you are unfamiliar with her, she dramatic, flawed human being, but as we are. And one thing, so there is a definite message in this book, and basically this is like a different collection of short stories, and I feel like the overarching message is, I feel like she is really trying to encourage readers. I think it might be geared toward a little bit younger. Well, can't be that young because she's talking about like drinking and stuff like that. But anyway, I guess she's really focused. I think her readership is focused a lot on women and really encouraging women to learn who they are and then to just be that person who they are, even if it is next level basic or not that exciting. And so she kind of goes on to explain through different stories of what she has in her life, that how she is basic. If you don't know what basic, it's like, how do you describe it? It's just like simple, stereotypical, of course you like it. So it's like, oh, of course you like The Bachelor, or you know, things like that. But this is definitely not like a literary masterpiece, but it was really enjoyable. She is very good at expressing herself, very entertaining, really funny. It was a really fast read or listen to, but it goes really well with also her podcast. Like I said, I'm still working my way through her podcast because she has like hundreds of them, and they're really good. She's a great storyteller. So basically, funny stories with a message that I think a lot of people at one point or time in another could hear or could benefit from. And I really like her. Okay, I just need to talk about it. Okay, so obviously I've never met her, I don't know her, but what I see her portrayed as, or what I've listened to her, is like, she's a very flawed person, but she knows that about herself. And I like that she is working towards not being the same person. Like, she doesn't put herself necessarily in a box, and she could grow through some of her mistakes. And she just comes across as really like authentic and real. And her lifestyle and a lot of things about her are very different than mine, and in no ways like, I don't know if we would ever hang out, but just because she's so authentic, it's just really like, I want to surround myself with people who have this like authentic realness that she has. So if you just feel like you want to listen to a new friend chit chat and have a funny story, but you don't have to worry about forgetting to text that friend back, yeah, go ahead and read that book. I really like it, in case you couldn't tell. Number 3 on my list, maybe a little hint, is The Actor's Life, A Survival Guide by Jenna Fisher. Okay, so obviously, Office Ladies, if you watch this channel by any means, you will know that I am a huge fan of The Office. And so since this year I was really getting into books written by the author, I knew I had to read Jenna's book at some point or another. Now, acting, not my thing. I was never in a play, except for if you count I was an angel in a Christmas pageant when I was like 5, you know, but I was just singing in the chorus, you know, and not even singing well. So this is a lot of this knowledge, or a lot of this information was not necessarily directly applicable to me. She does have extremely practical, very detailed guides in here. So if you want to become an actor, or if you're interested in, I think that this probably is a must-have for that. But if you are like me, and either if you are an Office fan, or if you are in the creative field, I feel like a lot of these principles could also apply for you. So first of all, she does tell her story of her experiences so far as an actor or an actress. I think actor, because she says actor. And so obviously those will include some of her experiences as on The Office, because that was obviously her big break. And so she has some funny stories, some interesting tidbits and things, which are just gems for me. Anything I could learn are really good things. And it's quite obvious that she has such a fondness for a lot of people that worked on the show. And so those are great. But one thing that I was really surprised about was I was surprised at how a lot of the principles that she was describing in acting could also apply to me. So she was really talking a lot about kind of like professionalism. So she talked about like professionalism and how her journey towards that, like in taking different headshots and different things, and learning when to listen to yourself and maybe when to listen to advice to others. There are just so many principles and things that were learned in these through her stories, through her life experience. It made me excited for my like creative small business life that I have. So that was really great. Also, just her personality, it made me feel like, oh, we could, like, Jenna and I could be friends. I really think so. She is very detail oriented. She is a note taker. She thinks things through and is very thorough in things, and I think that shows in this book. This book, I think, is very well written, very organized, very easy to understand, but also like filled with her fun personality. And I'm not going to lie, so I listened to the audiobooks. I borrowed it for free through my library system. I almost want to consider purchasing a hard copy, because just because of the way I was listening while I was running. I didn't get to look at all the pictures and things like that. So yeah, this book I would recommend for people who are in the creative field, people who are fans of The Office, or those who want to go into acting. I would say if you just hit one of those things, you would enjoy this book. You don't have to hit all 3 of those. So that is number 3. All right, so number 2, Why Not Me by Mindy Kaling. So for those of you who don't know, Mindy Kaling was a writer and also an actress in The Office, also along with other, like, she's a comedian. She's done a lot of different things. And so this year, I think I read almost all, if not all, of biographies, autobiographies, memoirs from people that were involved in The Office, because obsessed, right? We've been over that. I was blown away, which I really shouldn't have, by her writing. I really like her writing. So she writes as if she was like the smartest girlfriend you have, like your super smart best friend wrote a book. That's basically what it is. Maybe even smarter than anybody I know. But it's really quick, funny humor, but she feels like a friend. Like she feels like your friend, or a friend that you want to have. So she, like, one thing that was funny that she did was like like comparing herself with her character on The Office, and she made like a list, so there's like listicles and things like that. Her humor is really there and really on point, and I was just so impressed. So she went into a lot of detail about The Office, but also she was so young when she started. I think it was in her 20s when she was starting to work on The Office, which is so impressive and so creative, and I just liked it. But the thing that I really liked was her message, which is just right on the title of the book, Why Not Me? So I think one of the things that she really attributes to her success is this attitude of why not me? And I think that especially for women, it is something that it's a little bit harder maybe for us to like to have, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't just say women, maybe I should say this is me. So maybe it's a little bit harder for me to really put myself out there, to go for it, to try things, and then to expect the results, you know, because I could think of a bazillion reasons why, if I wanted something, why it shouldn't be me, right? I could think of all the reasons, but what she's trying to say is why not me, like in a positive way. Like, well, why couldn't it be me? Why shouldn't it be me? I have this, and just you guys have got, I really highly recommend it. You guys should really read this, because the message is great. It really means a lot, and I remember the feeling. I just felt so confident in different areas of my life. So I read this a little bit more towards the beginning of my weight loss journey, and I was really I was struggling with some comparison, you know, like I was seeing different people on Instagram and stuff like that, and I was struggling with like, that'll never be me, that like those type of things, like, and almost struggling with some jealousy or stuff because of social media, or I don't know if jealousy, but like feeling bad about myself. And then I just remember that part of the reason why, after I read this book, I was like, you know what? I am stopping following people who I just can't handle not comparing myself to, because I want to almost protect this mentality of like, why not me? Because it was really important for me to like start losing weight, to start getting healthy, and I wanted to be able to be like, hey, why not me? Why can't I lose weight, be healthy, be active? Why can't I go all day at Disneyland without getting tired? Like, I can, you know. Anyway, it's a great book. All right, the number one book on my favorite audiobooks that I listen to is Chip Gaines' book, Capital Gains. So for those of you who don't know, well, they're pretty famous. Chip and Joanna Gaines, they had the TV show Fixer Upper, and they've built this empire for themselves on like different home improvement, realty? Selling and buying home, fixing them up, fixer upper. Sorry, I couldn't say that. And just so much. And so I've already read before Joanna's book. I believe it's called The Magnolia Story or something like that. And so this is kind of like his version, what he does. And for those of you that don't know, these are a Christian couple, and from what I know, like looking in, a lot of their beliefs really line up with mine, and I'm a Christian too. And this book was so great, because what I liked what I really admired was the steps that Chip and Joanna have taken in order to make sure that what they did in business and family life in all different aspects really lined up with their faith and what they believed in. And you got to see like some of the sacrifices, some of the struggles, but we know the end of this, well, not the end obviously, because they're not done, but the end of the story of they were able to get success. which is just awesome, and how God has blessed him. And I really liked how you could tell that one of the main things that they focused on is they focused on trying to bless the people that they came in contact with through their business. So the people that worked for them, and also the customers, and how they really wanted to take care of them. And that just really touched my heart, because I have my own handmade business, and that is what my heart is. It's like I want to be able to have like my store, my shop, my bags that I make over here, you know, all behind me. I really want anybody who comes in contact with my shop, I want to do right by them, you know, like I really want to try to do what's right, and I want them, I want to show them kind of like my heart, and I want to try to bless them through something kind of frivolous and stuff. And I just feel like it's such a great honor and privilege to be able to have a creative business. And anyway, so sorry, I'm getting a little sidetracked. So anyway, the reason why I liked this book is that I felt like it echoed a lot of my heart that I have for what I want to do with my life in this book. Obviously, like, I don't have an eye for interior design or anything like that. I don't have a good aesthetic eye, so it won't be the same thing, but it just reaffirmed what I want to do with my life. Yes, anyways, so thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that maybe this gave you guys some good ideas. If you have any recommendation of audiobooks I should check out in 2020, the next decade, people, I got a lot of reading or listening to do. Please comment below, or if you have any opinions about the top ones on my list, I would love to hear it, because discussing books, even audiobooks, is amazing. One of my favorite things to do. Alright, before you leave, please don't forget to hit the subscribe and the like button, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.